නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස භූතමිදන්ති භික්ඛවේ යථා භූතං සම්මප්පඤ්ඤාය පස්සතෝ යා විචිකිච්ඡා සාපහියන්ති එවං භන්තේති. Dear Dhamma friends, as you all know, in our retreat, we have certain different sections, maybe different items, and one item is the Dhamma sermon. Actually, we are expecting certain results or certain goals by going through a Dhamma sermon, because our practice has to be supported in various ways. Actually, Buddha says it has to be supported with the morality, which is typically we undergo 5 precepts, but in a retreat situation we specially undertake 8 precepts, so that we are well aware that we are in a more dedicated environment. Fair amount of uplifted morality is there, so we have some concern about the morality. So that is necessary, because when our mind is moral, when our mind is virtuous, it is giving a more food or more nutrition for the meditation, and it avoids any kind of regrets. And then Buddha says it also has to be supported through discussions, so that if the yogis have certain doubts or certain uncertainties, so they can openly discuss with the others, and then can eliminate doubts, so that one can go forward with a relaxed mind. And then again, Buddha also says that the practice has to be supported with some knowledge about the suttas or about the Dhamma, so that one knows that we are not going in the wrong path, rather it is really according to the Buddha's teaching. So again, one's very sure that our practice is according to the Buddha's teaching, and more we understand in par with the Buddha's teaching. So we again, if we really had experience that, then we get real joy. So therefore Buddha says it is necessary to listen to Dhamma sermons or read books, so that one has fair amount of knowledge where we are leading. And the other parts are the samatha and the vipassana, where one has to sometimes has to develop concentration, and sometimes has to develop wisdom. So one needs to understand how these things have to be balanced. So this item, what we are currently going through, is the Dhamma sermon, which basically supports the Sutta Anuggahita, where our knowledge, our understanding about the Dhamma is further enriched. So, as you all might remember, so last month we took a different topic, that is new sutta, which is available in Majjhima Nikaya, which is called Maha Tanhasankhaya Sutta. This sutta has fair amount of profound teaching of the Buddha, and based on a particular doubt which is arisen in a mind of a bhikkhu. So you can understand even monks have certain doubts or certain wrong views, and here it is not simply a doubt but even a wrong view. A monk called Sati was having a wrong view, thinking that according to the Buddha's teaching, it is the same consciousness transmigrating from one life to the other. So it is very much like a sassata ditti, kind of a eternalism, where you have certain kind of a soul type of character, and it is going from one life after the other. That is very much like the Brahmanism, where they believe certain kind of eternal, everlasting, unchanging entity is there, and that is continuing. So this kind of a wrong view Venerable Sati was having. So then the other bhikkhus get to know that Venerable Sati is holding this kind of a wrong view, and they tried to convince him that he is holding a wrong view. But he was little stubborn, little stuck into that view, and therefore the other monks went in and informed the Buddha that Venerable Sathya is having this kind of a wrong view. Then Buddha asked him to come and see him, and while in front of the other monks, Buddha started to question him. So Buddha directly asked, from where did you listen to this kind of teaching? Where did I preach such a teaching? Then Venerable Sathya was silent. He couldn't remember that Buddha was telling such thing. Then Buddha further questioned him and again asked from the other monks in order to clarify this wrong view, because Buddha was so concerned if someone is holding this kind of a wrong view, then in a way he is misrepresenting Buddha. He is misrepresenting Dhamma, and he is misrepresenting Sangha. So it is necessary, therefore, the follower of the Buddha has to have correct understanding, correct view. And Venerable Sathya was having a wrong view. And then during last month we discussed that Buddha started to preach fairly profoundly, fairly deeply, telling that the consciousness is not something eternal, not something continuous. Rather, it is arising based on conditions. Say, for example, when I and the visible object comes to be, then the I consciousness arises. I consciousness was not there before. There was no I consciousness. But when we pay our attention to a visible object, when our attention is there, when our eye is focused to a particular object, visible object, then we get the understanding or we get the knowledge that something is there. So kind of a division, discrete understanding happens, and that is the function of the I consciousness. I consciousness arises. Similarly, when we pay our attention to a sound, if we like to listen to it and there are no disturbances, and then we can listen to that sound, accordingly the ear consciousness arises. So likewise, Buddha explained that consciousness is conditioned. Consciousness arises due to causes. So then we discuss further, telling that Buddha wants to further clarify that it's not only the consciousness, even the other aggregates are conditioned. So as you all might know, that according to the teaching, that we are discussing or analyzing what we call as being according to 5 aggregates. Sometimes we give various names to ourselves. Okay, this is so and so, this is so and so. Likewise, different names are there. Different conventions are there. Different labels are there. So all these things in a way facilitates communication. But when we want to go deeper to understand the reality, the truth as the way it is, then we have to go a little further than these conventions. We have to penetrate these conventions. So therefore Buddha analyzed it according to 5 aggregates. And 5 aggregates, you might be familiar. The form aggregate, Rupa Khandha, where we consider various materiality. So in the modern science or today's scientific terms, we can say that atoms are there, neutrons, photons, and various ways we can analyze it. But according to Buddha's teaching, he also present very primordial kind of physical characteristics, materiality, what we call as 4 elements. And then which comes to the mentality, where when we are feeling something. So there are various types of feelings, and it all belongs to feeling aggregate, Vedana Khandha. And when we are feeling, not only the feeling, but also we perceive. There are different signs, we are mapping it with our memory. So all these signs are there, which all comes under the perception aggregate, Sanya Khandha. And then further, as we are experiencing it, we might like it, we don't like it, we might dislike it, and we might fall in love with it, or we might start to hate it. So likewise, different mentalities, different mental states also arise, which comes under the formations aggregate, which is called sankhara khanda. And all these things are knowing, this cognizing. So this part is the consciousness, vijnana khanda. So actually Venerable Sati has a question about the consciousness aggregate, vijnana khanda, but Buddha comprehensively explain all the 5 aggregates, and he go deeper and deeper in this sutta. It is very much really giving us a fair amount of understanding about his whole teaching. And then he asks, step by step, he is questioning the other monks. So he asks another question, telling bhutamidanti bhikkhave passathati. So the other monks are answering evam bhante. So what it says is, monks, do you see what is arising? Then the other monks are telling, yes, we see what has arisen. So it is not something that typically what we see. Okay, if someone is asking, do you see what is available? Then we can say, yes, we can see a TV, we can see a air conditioner, we can see mats, we can see cushions, we can see a recorder, we can see a clock. So these are the typical conventional terminology that one can answer like that. But something deeper is there than this conventional level. That is what Buddha is asking. So it is not that what Buddha asking is that whether the monks can see whether Jetavanarama or the other monks or their friends and the various furniture and everything available there. It is quite obvious. It is the conventional thing. More deeper Buddha is meant there. So then the other monks, fortunately, they actually answer, yes, Bhante. So this part actually we discussed last time in depth. So here also we will touch a little. Suppose we take a meditation object, what we call as a primary object. Suppose, since many of you are practicing Anapanasati, suppose we took Anapanasati. So at the beginning we see that in-breath occurs. And so we understand, okay, right now in-breath occurs. And then the out-breath occurs, and we know right now at present out-breath occurs. So typically we can't even very much understand that, because while in-breath occurs, our mind is not happy about it. Rather it is jumping to various other distractions. Because mind is not happy with this very neutral, boring object. Rather it likes to think about something happened in the past or what it has projected in the future. Suppose somehow you are taming the mind, restraining the mind, concentrating the mind, focusing the mind just to see this breath. Just to keep the mind, just to keep the attention at the present moment. Suppose we succeed, then we are able to eliminate all other distractions, calm down the mind, suppress defilements, suppress hindrances, and suppose we are fully with the breath. And at that time we understand, okay, right now we are very clear, in-breath occurs. It is not the out-breath, it is not the gap, it is the in-breath. And then similarly, once the in-breath goes away, then the out-breath occurs, and we are very sure it is the out-breath. And still we are still in the conventional level, and it is not what Buddha meant there. So he is asking bhutamidanti bhikkhave passatati, basically means even deeper than that. We have to go more or deeper than the conventional reality. So sometimes we say, okay, I perceive it like a thread, I perceive it like a kind of a balloon or whatever thing. So we are giving various interpretations, still we haven't come to the reality. Suppose we are continuing our practice, and at a given time, we can even drop these names. The in-breath is a name that we have given. Out-breath is a name that we have given. Even we are dropping this name and further calming down the mind, and suppose we are able to understand, suppose we are able to feel, just the in-breath occurs, and at that time there are certain very primitive, primordial, basic characteristic which may be kind of a rubbing sensation. It may be kind of a hot feeling. It may be kind of a cold feeling. It may be kind of a stiffness. Or likewise, there are very basic qualities and what we call as the element characteristics. So if one is able to touch that level completely, without much distractions, and without any doubt, and now he is fully aware, right now, under his very nose, right now what I am experiencing is hot, what I am experiencing is rubbing, what I am experiencing is hardness, what I am experiencing is movement. So it's a very basic characteristic. So we don't need any kind of language to understanding it. We have our own kind of intuitive knowledge which doesn't mix up with any book knowledge. It is not something borrowed from outside, from any book. Rather, it is our own direct touch. So this is what, when we are telling that we have seen or we have observed, we have experienced the Rupakkhandha. That's the four elements. They are talking according to their own language. For example, this earth element, it manifests with hardness or softness. Maybe weight or heaviness or lightness. Roughness or softness. So these are the kind of characteristics which is belong to earth element. If someone very well understand, very clearly understand, right now my mind is very concentrated, well focused, there are no any distraction and it is fairly calm, and I am now experiencing hardness. It is extremely simple in the sense. Simple means coming to this level is not simple, but what we are experiencing is utterly simple. It is not corrupted with various conventions, various knowledges, various other concepts that we are attributing it later. But rather we have come to the very bottom, to the very basic, very primordial characteristic. So this is the direct touch. So this is what Buddha means. If it is coming to the materiality, if someone is coming to this level, he is very sure, face to face with hardness, then he is very sure it is hardness. And if he can map it with the book knowledge, telling that it's a characteristic of the earth element, right now I am experiencing earth element, doesn't matter, it's good. But even that, not necessary to think can come, but rather if one is able to understanding it, very well observe it, it is hardness going through, then it is that is enough. Suppose he is experiencing fire element, which manifests as hot or cold, so then he is understanding, okay, this is the fire element. And if he is understanding kind of a movement, kind of a vibration, so that is the air element. So like manner, so these elements we can understand. So that is actually the materiality part. And similarly, one may understand, so when I am experiencing hardness, suppose now he is quite happy about feeling it, understanding it, because he went through fair amount of struggle, fair amount of effort to come to this level. And by accomplishing this, he is quite happy, quite contented. So kind of an inner joy arising. So when he understands this inner joy, so it is the feeling aggregate. And he has kind of a perception, okay, the hardness is like this, softness is like this, hot is this, cold is this, it is like this. So it has kind of a perception, perceiving it in a different manner. So that is the perception aggregate. And he may be having kind of a equanimity towards this experience. He may not like it or doesn't like it, kind of a equanimity. So it may be and he is exerting his his effort and intentionally experiencing it, intentionally practicing. So this intention belongs to the sankhara or the formations aggregate. So all this knowing happens in the consciousness aggregate. So one can little disassemble all these experience and understand, okay, different parts are there even in this tiny experience. And not only that, then one may even go to see how this is happening. Now, say for example, now in-breath occurs, and it is not that all of a sudden in-breath occurs with the very high intensity and maintaining the same intensity and immediately reduce it or vanish it to the zero intensity. It is not something like that. It is not like a square waveform. Rather, it is kind of a gradually arising, gradually starting, gradual beginning is there. Then the kind of a rough middle is there, and then the again gradual fading away, gradual ending, ceasing is there. So we can understand when we are experiencing in-breath, this kind of a change happens, even in single in-breath. Similarly, this kind of change happen even in the single out-breath. Now suppose we are observing it more closely, more attentively to in-breath and out-breath, and we are telling, okay, you see complete in-breath. Now he has forgotten this is the in-breath. Now he is more concerned how I can pay attention to the subtle beginning of the in-breath. Now he is trying hard or trying more in a relaxed, more refined, restrained manner to catch this very subtle beginning of the in-breath. So you can see it's very softly, kind of a rubbing sensation arise, very soft. Then it increases slowly. Then it is coming to a fair amount of intensity and you can feel it really well. And then it is diminishing, fading away. Then this subtlety happens, the subtling happens, the fading side, the disappearing side, that is the ending part. So one can understand that in the in-breath and that in the out-breath, and we can then further go to understand as it happens. So in-breath produces some kind of, say, rubbing sensation. This rubbing, this, say, hardness also has the same characteristic. It is also has a beginning. It also has a middle. It also has a fading away. So if it is kind of cold, this cold sensation also has a beginning, also has a middle, also has an end. So it is not something immediately happening, but gradually they are arising. Gradually they are changing and gradually they are ending. Suppose one is successful in understanding this complete cycle, so is aware there was no any sensation at the beginning. Now it starts very slowly, very softly, and it is increasing little by little and coming to a peak, and then it is start to fades away and slowly diminish, fades away and coming to a kind of a gap. There is nothing there, and then again the out-breath cycle, there also the kind of a, in the opposite direction, the rubbing sensation happens or the hot feeling happens. So it is also slowly starting, slowly the intensity increases and coming to a peak, and again slowly diminishing, reducing, and ultimately it fades away and again come to a kind of a space. So you can see without anything, something is arising, slowly arising, and then ultimately it fades away, again coming to a kind of a space, nothing is there, nothing perceivable, and then something arising in the out-breath cycle, and that is also fading away, again coming to kind of a space. So Venerable Sariputta in one of the another sutta, it is beautifully saying it, ahutva sambhoti hutva pativenti. There was nothing at the beginning, and now it is coming into being. There was nothing there at the beginning, now something is coming into being. And then, having been, it fades away. So this is a kind of a characteristic that you can understand. So at this time, I am fully concentrated. I have forgotten all the conceptual world. I have no communication with the other world. And I am fully aware, fully concentrated, fully mindful about the present moment. What is occurring at the very moment. It is nothing but this phenomena. And you can see, it is not that something outside is kind of influencing the process. It's not kind of a God happening this. Or it is not kind of immediately someone is creating. It is kind of a causal process. Due to certain causes, this is slowly happening. Due to certain causes, it is increasing. And due to certain causes, it is again diminishing. So therefore Buddha says, so don't stop at just the knowing, but see the causes. See how things are arising. See how the things are changing. And see how things are fading away, ceasing. So he is encouraging us to see the causes. So that is further elaborated in this particular sutta. Tadahara sambhavanti bhikkhave pasathati. So the monks answer evam bhante. So Buddha says, so once you see that certain things are arising, so don't just stop there. Have you seen that they are occurring due to causes? Then the monks telling, yes Bhante, we have seen that they occur due to causes. It is not randomly, or it is not that abruptly things are happening without a cause. But everything happens due to causes. The whole breathing happens due to causes. Similarly, all the mentality, maybe feelings, perceptions, various likes and dislikes, intentions and cognition, everything happens due to causes. So Buddha encouraging us to see these causes. And this further, actually we can go a little deeper. If one is able to understand, okay, there is kind of a materiality. At this moment, I am feeling kind of a rubbing sensation. At this moment, I am feeling kind of a hardness. I am feeling kind of a softness. So this softness is a characteristic of the earth element. So that is the rupa. And how I know it? So this knowing part is the nama. That is the mentality. So as you can see, so when the materiality happens, when the materiality occurs, we immediately know it. Because we are avoiding all the other distractions, we are fully awake, fully mindful, fully concentrated on the present moment, and we are able to understand right now. If there is hardness, we can immediately know it. If there is no hardness, we can't feel anything. How we know hardness is because right now, at this very moment, hardness happens. If it is really hot, when we are breathing in, if it is hot air that we are breathing, then we can immediately feel that it is hot. So that we can understand this materiality really causing our understanding. Now it is hot. Now it is soft. Now it is hard. So this understanding is conditioned by the materiality. So this understanding happens, or this knowing part happens due to the materiality, due to the rupa. So other than this nama and rupa, there is nothing else. So if we come into that kind of very understanding, sometimes we call in the vipassana meditation as nama rupa paricceda, kind of differentiating, seeing two parts, the materiality and the mentality. So there is a materiality part, and then the knowing part, that is the mentality. So that is a very direct knowledge that one can understand. So why it is such a penetrating knowledge? Because we are not mindful at other times. When we are not mindful, we don't know about Nama Rupa. We don't know mentality, materiality. We are simply being victims to what is going on. Say for example, suppose we are drinking a tea. Suppose it is really tasty and we are really tired and we are having a good cup of tea. So are we going to have understanding about Nama Rupa or are we enjoying the tea? So we are fully in the world of tea. So we are sip by sip, we are experiencing it, we are enjoying it, we are having a fair amount of pleasure. So our tiredness fades away. So we are fully enjoying tea. So at that time, we don't have that kind of profound, deeper knowledge about Nama Rupa. Rather, we are simply trapped in the experience. So suppose someone wants to, even while drinking a tea, wants to experience this, then still it is possible. Then one has to avoid mind get distracted or get victimized to this greediness or this kind of obsession. Rather, he simply wants to little sip by sip. He wants to see even when you are getting a little bit of this tea into your mouth, as you taste it, you can feel that there's a kind of a materiality and the knowing part is there. Still even the mentality, materiality is there. Nama Rupa is there. So that is how, so we have to little penetrate the typical conventional world, and again we have to avoid getting victimized to the experience, and we have to step back and from the outside look that we are experiencing, outside look that we are observing what is really going on. Then only this kind of insight can happen. So that's why we are very much encouraging yogis. So calm down, relax. Keep your mind only to a focused object. And this is simply an external object. So don't get carried away by the feeling which is giving you. Don't get carried away by the perception giving you. So don't develop kind of a likes or dislike. So that's why we are selecting fairly equanimous object, kind of a boring object, so that you are not developing any kind of a real attraction to the object or any kind of a repulsion to the object. Rather, it's a kind of a neutral feeling happens. So this neutral feeling has a good pathway towards the wisdom. So that is how, when you are observing in-breath and out-breath, if you are penetrating, if you understand, okay, right now, at this very moment, it is little hard, it is little soft. This softness is a part of the materiality, and knowing part is the nama, that is the mentality. So now we understood all these experiences have two sides. In the sense, if you are experiencing the materiality, so it has the materiality side and the knowing parts, that is the mentality side. And Buddha encourages us to go further to see the causes. How these things happen, how this mentality, materiality happens. So then we are going to the another knowledge, what we call as Pacce Pariggaha Jnana, knowledge of causality, analyzing the causes. So this actually happened different way. So we can't say that everyone comprehend it, everyone knows it on the same way. Different ways people can understanding it. Say for example, when someone sees the beginning of the say soft feeling of the breath, so he may understand, okay, this beginning part, it is happening gradually due to certain causes, that right now the respiration happens fairly softly, so mind also calm, so it is gradually it became soft. So there's you understand kind of a gradual pathway came from the beginning. And maybe even go more than that, if one touches the mentality part, as I said before, the mentality part, the knowing part, the perception, the understanding, it is soft. So this cognition happens when it is really soft, when the materiality showing is soft. So this materiality is causing the nama, the mentality. So likewise, one can have another understanding. This also, in one way, one may understand the causes. Another way is that sometimes people may see, okay, I have the kind of a rupa, the materiality. Then I have the kaya, the body. And when these things come together, then the body consciousness arises. Kaya vijnana arises. So one may understand in that sense as well. Maybe another way. So maybe due to ignorance, maybe kind of formations arise. Due to formations, different consciousness arise. Different consciousness causes some other part. So likewise, even in the dependent arising way, Patissamuppada way, one can understand. So various ways one can understand this causality. So we'll go further in the future sermons, because Buddha explains one by one, taking step by step in this particular sutta. In that sense, it's really deeper and really interesting. And what I want to emphasize here is that when we are paying our attention to the causes, to the beginning, when things are happening, so we may immediately get kind of an understanding. It is happening due to certain different ways. It may be unique to different people, but in certain books it says majority, or rather in particular it happens in 5 different ways, but it can happen in various ways. So we can't say that everyone has to understand this causality in the same way. So different people may understand in different way. Some may be with very elaborative, descriptive way, and others may be very direct, a short way. Doesn't matter. So basically, by understanding like this, one may eliminate different doubts in our mind. So Buddha says, in that which I have taken as the topic of today's Dhamma sermon, Bhutamidanti bhikkhave yatha bhutang sammappaññāya passato ya vichikiccāsa paheyanti. So Buddha is asking from the monks, when you are seeing that things are occurring due to causes, don't you eliminate your previously prevailed doubts? Then the other monks answer, yes, Bhante. So basically, we understand our complete experience as, so I am experiencing, I am breathing out, I am feeling, I am perceiving, I am cognizing. So we are understanding or identifying everything as I am. Or else we think that another person, another force outside is completely conditioning this process. Kind of a God is creating this whole process. I am just, as an outsider, I am just going through it. I can't do anything. I am just a victim of this process which is influenced by some external power. So likewise, we have various kind of doubts. But when we are experiencing under this very direct knowledge, we can really understand it is not that someone is influencing it. It is not that kind of a God is creating this. This kind of a conditionality is happening. When the materiality is changing, accordingly we are understanding it. Accordingly we are knowing it. So other than this materiality and the mentality, there is no any other external factor. So this way, such doubts, if we had any kind of such doubts, so slowly, those doubts will eliminate. And That's why even when someone see causes, again Buddha emphasizes, Tadahara sambhavanti bhikkhave yatha bhutang sammappaññāya passato ya vichikicchāsā pahiyanti. The monk's answer, evam bhanti. So basically when one see as it happens, as it really are, as the things as it happens as they truly are, when one sees very direct knowledge, if we had any kind of doubts, there's a possibility that those doubts will fade away, those doubts will go away. So we can't expect that it will happen at the very first instance. But this experience is possible to repeat again and again. Again and again we are repeating this experience. So each and every time when we are experiencing it, each and every time we are very direct, we are very sure about it, then slowly, if we had any kind of doubts that someone externally is conditioning it, someone else is putting this, someone else is dictating this, so this kind of wrong view will slowly eliminate. So as we go on, this knowledge, even one can develop, even one can expand, and that is how one may get further knowledge into the dependent arising. What we call as the Paticcasamuppada. That actually is another topic that we have to deal in a different day. So today actually I want to more emphasize that if we are thinking that that's I making this, or I am identifying this, or I am feeling this. So when we are directly experiencing this with a very quiet mind, without any inner chatter, you can't find any I factor. Because this I, so I am experiencing it. I like it. Or I don't like it. I am going through real pain. I am really happy. So all these things needs fair amount of thinking, fair amount of proliferation in the mind. We have to think and get this feeling of I. It is not kind of a entity remaining or available in our heart or any in the body as a unit, but rather with the experience, our mind is thinking that I am experiencing, I am going through, I am feeling, I am going through a painful feeling, I am experiencing pressure. So all these things needs fair amount of thinking. But when our mind is fairly concentrated, fairly calm, relaxed, and the inner chatter, the inner dialogue is fairly subsided, it is very silently watching the experience, so you might understand, so these things can happen without a person, without an individual, without a being. So this is simply conditions are causing. One cause is causing another cause. So likewise, there's a kind of a conditionality, kind of a causality is there. So I refer a beautiful verse which referred by one bhikkhuni called Vajira. So she says, Yathapi anga sambhara hoti saddo rato iti evam khandesu santesu hoti sattoti sammuti. Now you might understand, now when we are calling a car, for example, in today's terms, suppose we are calling a car. If we little dismantle the car and see that it has various parts. It has 4 wheels, it has a body, it has the axles, it has the engine, it has fuel, and then everything is assembled in a particular shape. Then we are fixing various components. Maybe then we are fixing a steering wheel. So all these things, all these gadgets, all these components are assembled in a certain particular way. Then we are giving it a name. It is a car. Suppose we assembled in a different way, in a different shape, then we might be calling it, this is a van. Suppose it is fairly large and assembled in a different manner, and the shape is different, we are calling it a bus. But if we come into the parts, if we come into the components, so we can understand it's a accumulation, it's an aggregate of different parts. There is no really car, there is no really a van, there is no really a bus. But it's a assemble, it's a accumulation, it's an aggregate of various parts. So this Arahant Bhikkhuni similarly says, Yathapi anga sambhara hoti saddo rato iti. When different components are coming together, when different components are assembled in a particular manner, we are telling it as a vehicle. Similarly, evam kandesu santesu hoti satto sammuti, sattoti sammuti. Similarly, when these 5 aggregates coming together and assembled in a particular shape, we are giving a particular name as being. If it is assembled or if it is gathered in a particular way, we are telling it it's a dog, it's a monkey, it's a human. So likewise, we are giving different names, but ultimately if we analyze, it is nothing but different components. So we can see more and more we see things as they truly are. We are able to penetrate this typical conventional reality in which we are trapped in. We can't go beyond that unless we are really calming down and really concentrating the mind and go deeper and see things as they truly are. Then only we can see there is no person, there is no I, there is no being, but there are different components, there are different aggregates. Aggregates are causing each other, and they are also arising and passing, they are also changing. So this is how we'll be slowly with the practice, we are slowly coming to a view, kind of a correct view, that it is maybe at the beginning it is nama rupa, mentality and materiality. Maybe at another stage it is just 5 aggregates. Maybe another way it is just 6 sense bases. So likewise, different way Buddha is analyzing, or Buddha giving understanding, so that through particularly with the vipassana meditation, we are getting to this kind of direct knowledge. It is not borrowed from a book, rather as we experience, as we observe what we are experiencing, this direct knowledge arising slowly in ourselves. So we will further elaborate in the same topic on tomorrow as well. So I hope it is enough for today. So basically we need to see that it is not just that we are meditating just to have a kind of a comfortable feeling, or to have a kind of bliss, or have a happy, pleasurable living. But rather, particularly in the vipassana meditation, it is going deeper and deeper. It is giving us better understanding about who we are. What are the doubts that we are having? So, is it possible to eliminate these doubts? Am I getting a proper understanding about the causality? Am I getting an understanding about who I am? So, likewise, some deeper spiritual questions are slowly answered in this process. So, therefore, I encourage all of you to see things little closer. And when you are meditating, don't bring any kind of book knowledge to it. Try to have your own understanding. It is true that we need to have some knowledge, some book knowledge, some Buddha's teaching to that. But at the front is our own experience. When we are mapping our own experience at a later time with the Buddha's teaching, it is really encouraging, it is really interesting, rather than trying to condition our mind according to the teaching. So, for example, if we are experiencing in a certain way, and later, when we are hearing about a Dhamma sermon, or when we are going through a book, that we understood that this is the way I experience, and it is according to the Buddha's teaching, and Buddha has clearly mentioned it the way I has experienced, then a real joy arising in our mind. So I have experienced what Buddha has taught. I have experienced what a particular sutta is explaining. So that gives us a kind of a certainty, that gives us a kind of a confidence, a trust in ourselves, trust in our practice, so that we can further continue our practice. So with that final note, I conclude today's Dhamma sermon, and thank you very much for listening.